Redditors assemble. r/AskReddit. What was the creepiest or most paranormal thing that's ever happened to you? My boyfriend and I woke up in separate parts of the house in hysterics, naked and covered in sweat. When we both finally calmed down and talked, we realized we had the same dream of being surrounded by a group of black and white people with no mouths. That's gonna be a no from me, dog. What drugs did the two of you consume prior to this? Whenever shit like this happens, the logical answer is, get out of the house. You never know when you're just both dying of carbon monoxide poisoning or similar. I once read an article by some ghost hunters describing all the times they'd investigated and found non-ghost explanations for what people had reported as ghosts. In one case, it was a furnace leaking carbon monoxide. In another, the owners had combined medications and inadvertently created a hallucinogen. When I was in college, I house sat for my parents. I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, so I locked every door leading up to the bedroom when I went to bed at night. I had the weirdest dream that someone unlocked each door and turned on every light. I felt cold and woke up to my dog barking. All of the lights in the house were on and every door open and unlocked. My dog wouldn't stop barking at nothing in the hallway. I sat in the shower with my dog and a phone the rest of night, scared to death. Shower? Bad choice there. Bit of a murder hotspot. It is easier to clean up so it doesn't affect too much the sale price of the house. It is the smart choice for the conscious murder victim. Have you ever sleepwalked before? Also, I too am a huge scaredy cat when I'm alone in my house. I have to quadruple check all the locks on every window and door in my house and ensure all doors are closed before I go to bed. I also make sure I leave the kitchen light on, so that it looks like someone's home from the outside. Occasionally I hear random voices and small outbursts of unintelligible words, and by occasionally I mean maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I usually chalk that up to the fact stress can cause auditory hallucinations. This time though, I clearly heard my mom's voice yell my name, like she was right next to me. I shot up out of bed and all the lights were off. I was half asleep and terrified. Obviously the power had just gone out since it was storming, but the scream from my mom's voice made it 1,000 times scarier in the moment. My brother and I were home alone one night watching TV. My mother was working a night shift and father was out. Father came home and pushed the door ajar and poked his head through to say hello. We both turn around and say hello back. Father closed door. 30 seconds after, another man opens the door to say hello. We both turn around and say hello back. Man closes door. We assume a friend of my father has come back to the house too. Anyway, about 5 minutes later I head into the kitchen where my father was making dinner or whatever, and I'm expecting to see his friend again. I see that he's alone making dinner and assumed his friend was upstairs in the bathroom. I ask my father who his friend is. My father looks at me and asks me what friend. I reply, the guy who came back with you. Dad looks at me thinking I'm some sort of weirdo. He says I came back home on my own. Biggest what I've ever experienced. My brother was freaked out to the max, remembering the man's face. He was pale looking and bright white hair. Let's see if anyone is home so I can rob the place. Hello? Hey. Oh frick. These kids don't even care, I better duck out. Someone broke into my house while I was home. I heard noises and they were halfway in the window of my spare room when I walked in. I said, "Can I help you with something?" And he said no, I'm good, and jumped back out the window and ran off. I called the police to report it, and an hour or so later some officers dropped by and couldn't have cared less and were total assholes. I found out the next day they broke into a bunch of places in my neighborhood after they had been at my place. So technically the police could have acted faster and caught them. I just wanted to say good luck. We're all counting on you. It's an entirely different kind of flying altogether. One afternoon in college I came back from classes and decided to sit on the couch and have a snack. After that I just passed out. I had a nightmare of some bloody-faced demonish thing screaming in my ear at the top of its lungs. Woke up and went about the rest of my day. My roommate comes back later that night and goes into his room as I'm sitting in the main living area. At some point he lets out this random startled scream, which leads to me running down the hall to see what's going on. He looks at me and goes, "I swear to God, someone with a bloody face just walked from your bedroom into the bathroom." I never told him about my nightmare I had earlier in the day. I didn't sleep for 2 days. Nothing ever happened again. Dude had to take a shit. Give him a break. Picturing Bloodyface standing in Op's room with his arms crossed, tapping his foot impatiently. What the frick is taking him so long? I've got 2 more people scheduled for screaming today. MMNH? I shouldn't have ate the chili earlier. Let me just pop across the hall right quick. It's comments like yours that breaks the suspense. I love it. It's a defense mechanism and it's also my favorite. Sometimes I see something in the corner of my eye when getting something from downstairs in the middle of the night and I say some stupid shit like what up demons? It's yeah boy just to clear the suspense. My grandmother's house had a very distinct smell. Nothing bad though, just the grandmother's house smell. Anyway, when she came to visit us she always used to sit in a specific chair in the living room. Shortly after she passed away my father, my older sister and myself came home and when we walked into the living room and we all smelled her, my dad said hello Ethel and the smell disappeared. I would be skeptical if just one of us experienced this, but it was all three of us. My great-grandmother had her rocker and the same thing happened. The night she had passed, my mom and I had already been to visit my grandparents and my great-grandmother a couple days. We all knew her time was coming soon, so we wanted to make it memorable. She even met her first great-granddaughter when my cousin brought her daughter to see them. The night after my cousin left with her daughter, I had a dream that I was talking to my great-grandmother and she had been sharing some wisdom and saying goodbye. My mom woke me up in the middle of that dream, at 4:30 in the morning, to let me know that she had passed peacefully in her sleep and we needed to say goodbye. Of course, in the grogginess that comes with being woken up from a sound sleep at 4:30 in the morning, I had said but I just said goodbye, and freaked my mom out. Fast forward a couple days past her cremation, we noticed her perfume scent randomly in the halls, the kitchen, and occasionally hovering around her chair. Now, anytime I go to see my grandparents, I'm always greeted shortly after entering their home by the smell of her perfume. It's rather heartwarming honestly. My grandfather passed away when I was 8 and my little brother was 2 or 3-ish. He had this big lazyboy chair in the living room that he always planted himself in. Everyone knew this chair was Grandpa's chair. Anyway, we went down to my grandparents' house in Florida for a long weekend to attend the funeral, etc. We're all chatting the first night there in the living room, and my mom was sitting in the lazyboy chair. My little brother goes up to my mom and says Grandpa wants his chair back. My mom asks him where Grandpa is, thinking he probably didn't understand death, to which he responds, "He's right behind you." My mom bolted off that sofa immediately. My grandfather passed away when I was 9 and my little brother about 2, and in the first 2 months or so of his passing every time my family was all gathered in the living room, at some point my brother would always suddenly stop doing whatever he was doing and just look directly to some place in living room and start pointing and saying Grandpa. We never really questioned it, and with time it just went away. Still can't place my exact feelings about it, but it really is something that I certainly will never forget. When I was about 5 or 6, I was sitting on the back deck of my family home, an old farmhouse. I remember this old lady walking up the steps and going straight into the house without acknowledging me. I follow her inside to see who it is and my mom is standing in the kitchen room right off the back deck. I ask her who's here and she gives this confused look. Around the time the original owner of the farmhouse died and I am 100% convinced it was her. Whoa, you ever see her again? Never. We didn't even know she passed away until one of her daughters came over to the house a few months later. It's one of those childhood memories that you'll never forget, and I can't even remember what I ate for breakfast this morning. A lady's voice coming from my closet asking for help. My closet door was cracked and she said, "Help me. I see you through the cracks." Every synonym for the word scared was coursing through my body. I went and checked to see if there was a woman in need of help, but nothing was in there, but my clothes and shoes. I dropped my mug onto the floor accidentally, heard no noise when it hit the floor, go to pick it up and it's gone. I honestly went to bed and pondered what happened and slept feeling incredibly uncomfortable. Clip through the floor, see if you can recreate it, might be able to shave off a few seconds on your next speed run. Not paranormal, but definitely creeped me out. I was walking home one evening and was up the road from my house, about 5 minutes walk away. As I'm walking I see this guy go up an alley, apparently not see something he was hoping to see, and turned around. We briefly made eye contact, but there was nothing to it and he was walking really slowly. By the time I'd walked another 30 seconds down the road I looked back as I was turning the corner and he had only just emerged back from that alley. I'm now heading down the road leading to my street and there's a guy getting into his truck with his wife. The truck is facing up the street in my direction. He flashes his headlights, which I didn't quite understand. Then I hear a scuff behind me. The freaking guy from the alley is right behind me, like within arm's reach, even though I heard nothing until he was right there. I'm pretty sure I visibly jumped upon seeing him so close, and he's walking like an absolute demon. I mumble a greeting out of pure reflex and start to cross to the other side of the road, removing my backpack in the process. He doesn't respond to my greeting or even look at me. He's just looking dead ahead like I'm not even there. He just starts running as soon as I moved. He bolts down the road and turns right into another alley, and I hear some banging on a wooden fence. As I walk past the alley about 30 seconds later, I take a glance and it's empty. He must have vaulted a fence or something. Like I said, not paranormal or anything like that, but it creeped me the frick out. I still don't know how that guy moved so fast to catch up to me in such a short space of time, nor how I didn't hear him. I've got pretty good hearing and he must have been sprinting to catch up to me. Weird shit. Good guy in the truck could tell something wasn't right. Guys in trucks can save the day. Sounds like a subreddit. Finally a truck driver using their high beams for good, instead of blinding me on the road. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button and leave a comment which story you liked the most. Subscribe and hit the bell notification for updates on our latest videos. And don't forget to check the links in the description box for more awesome content.